Yeah, we got Penn Jillette joining the show next. That's going to be very, very cool. We like this guy. What is he promoting, Jimmy, you know?
I'm going to guess it's the 6th season of the show. We can't say it on the air, but it's...
Full S?
Full S, yeah. It's a really good show on
Showtime, yes.
And he's got Crackle.com. He has these daily rants. It's a video website, so I'm assuming it's video, not blog.
Oh, my God. We should play some of those for him on XM or something. Give him a little more exposure. All right, Penn Jillette next.
Well, yeah, that's it.
That's for our guest, Penn Jillette, in studio on the Opie and Anthony show. What's going on, man?
I'm up too early in the morning. That's what's going on.
Yeah, you got to start by saying what you said to Jimmy off mic, because that's a huge compliment, and I think the listeners need to hear it.
Well, I didn't want to appear like but sure, of course. I don't watch television as a rule. I mean, I just don't get around to it because I work at night and stuff, and I don't, as a rule, care for stand-up on TV. I'll go see Gilbert live, and stuff like that, but I just don't think it's a good form for that. And I was flipping around really, which I do maybe once every 6 months, happened to see Jim's show and couldn't stop watching it. Could not even follow my rule of clicking it off. I just thought it was really smart and funny. It took me, because I have very bad visual recognition, took me about 15 minutes in to realize, hey, I met that guy.
I know that guy.
I just thought, where'd this guy come from? It was just so polished and fast and cool, and
it was a great
I really
special.
It really was good. It really was good, and it's very hard to be in any way surprising comedically, especially with obscenity and sexual subjects, because it's been so well mined since Lenny Bruce that it's very surprising. You got George Carlin and Lenny Bruce that completely did all of that, by 1970.
Right.
And for someone to come in and have a few different angles is a really surprising
Jimmy,
thing.
look at that, huh?
Thank you. That's
And
great.
Jimmy's going to be hosting a show for HBO.
Yeah, we tape it in a couple weeks. It's a stand-up show, 4 episodes, so hopefully.
Oh, cool. Well, it was very, very good, and I just liked I liked the sound and the texture and everything. All the stuff that I usually don't like, as a rule.
Right.
There seemed to be an honesty to it that.
I got to tell you, not a fan of Dancing with the Stars.
Well, who is?
And I wasn't
About 20 million people, I guess.
But it's a huge show. But you almost made me watch it because I'm a fan of yours. I don't know. That's sort of a compliment.
Sure.
I'm like, I hate this show, but Penn Jillette's on it. He might make it interesting.
Well,
I don't know.
I was saying before we got on, people. I never saw the show before I went on, and people would ask me, how did you go on a show you'd never seen? I just said, well, it's my job. My job is to sell tickets and try to get people to come see our little magic show.
You don't really need exposure, but it is really good exposure,
really,
right?
It also got an entirely. I mean, we have been doing. Letterman and Saturday Night Live since, I'll probably get the date wrong, but like 1986, right?
Wow.
But because I wouldn't do TV at all until I was 30. That was my absolute rule. For my 30th, the week of my 30th birthday, I did Letterman and Saturday Night Live. And so that's about how long we've been doing this stuff. And the number of people that come to see us at the Rio that say after the show, because we hang out and talk to folks, say after the show, we never heard of you before Dancing with the Stars. I mean, how incredibly hip that. I mean, I'm fully aware. I'm not a psycho. I mean, in this way,
that sounds.
I know there were
impossible.
6 billion people on the planet,
right.
And if you round it off, 6 billion have not heard of Penn and Teller.
Right.
I mean, if you round it off, that's the number. If you round it off, out of 6 billion, how many people have never heard of Penn and Teller? Well, 6 billion.
6 billion.
That's the answer.
But
if you add it, if the population is actually 6.8 billion, so you say how many of 6.8 billion have heard of them, the answer is still 6.8. And Elvis used to be really bothered by the fact that there were Aboriginal tribes that had never heard of it.
Yeah.
And the fact is, and this is probably not, this is no longer true, it can't be, but 20 years ago, it was still true that half the people on the planet had never heard of the United States of America, which is pretty cool. And of course, Elvis couldn't take that. I'm okay with it. So there are, in the United States of America, whatever you want to say, 320 million people, there are more people percentage-wise that have heard of Penn and Teller than globally. But there are these people, and also they don't even know this is a whole new demographic of, predominantly women who watch Dancing with the Stars and who are predominantly grabby. I mean, I am an unattractive, big, ugly son of a bitch with a square head. And now I have people after Dance with the Stars, women, grabbing me, like grabbing my ass.
They want a piece of you.
I guess so, because I was on the show that they like. Okay, we can't grab Jason Taylor, so Penn Jillette's here. But it was a nutty experience. And I've also never done a reality show where they try to get people to cry. You know, it's essentially producers with cameras yelling at naive Mormons, trying to get them to cry over what a gay judge said about their dancing on television. And it's very weird to be in a room where that kind of emotion.
Did you almost break down?
Oh, I certainly did. I was sobbing uncontrollably.
Yeah, sure you were.
But that's one of the things they reprimand you for. You know, I practiced 5 to 6 hours a day. I lost 50 pounds to do the show. I worked really, really hard, but they kept saying, you know, you're not emotionally invested. And I said, well, if I became emotionally invested in this show, I would dishonor my mother and father. You know, because there's this thing that happens that's nuts where you've heard people that talk against pornography, and the completely valid argument, because it's aesthetic and not moral or political, is that somehow the having sex is a very powerful and personal emotional feeling, and watching people do it in an environment that's not true somehow cheapens that. And that argument is not one that I've ever felt, but it's a valid argument because it's aesthetic. You can't argue with it. But I've never felt that. But reality shows make me feel that. When I see someone crying on a reality show, I go, you know, I was crying at my mom and dad's funeral, and that seemed valid. And this, someone yelling at someone in a room and doing take after take until they break, just seems not morally wrong.
Right.
It's just not my favorite thing to watch.
No, of course not. Of course not.
And when you're part of it, when you're sitting there at the camera and the guy's looking at you and going, we're really supposed to get you to say this. And you go,
but I don't want to say that.
Oh, okay. But
I thought this was a reality show.
And people also say, you know, oh, we were so upset when you were off so early. And I go, it's a goddamn TV show. You know, it's kind of like someone saying, I was so upset when you were shot on Law and Order. You know, in the first 10 minutes. You know, that's what the script says.
It's a show. Did you dance before that, or were you like?
No, I've never. Well, I went to Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Greatest Show on Earth Clown College, which you can tell because I have to say Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Greatest Show on Earth Clown College because that was part of our media class. And during that, we had to do production numbers because, you know, virtually every clown is gay, so why not? And so they made us take certain dance classes. But I followed the rules.
Were you a clown?
I was never in Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Greatest Show on Earth, but I went to clown college and was extraordinarily bad. I mean, it turns out that I was a very good juggler, unicyclist, wire walker, and but when it came to being funny physically, if you've seen the Big Penn and Teller show, I do the whole time, my hands in my pockets just talking. Teller, I don't even move or hold anything. So I don't know why I thought I could be a visual comedian, except for the fact that I'm from a small town in Massachusetts and never met anyone in show business or never even saw a live show as a child.
Wow.
So I just figured, oh, well, there's this place you can go and learn to do stuff, and I'm a really good juggler, so maybe I can, you know, cheat my way in.
So you did wire walking. There's a documentary on Philippe Petit, I think.
Oh, sure, I knew Philippe.
Oh, you know him? I want to.
I haven't. Knowing him would be probably too strong to say, but I met him way back, right when he did the Twin Tower walk.
We're obsessed with what he did.
that was amazing.
We brought that up on our show a few months back, and just
much easier now. It's right on the ground. Very, very bad taste. But I mean,
soon.
It's a wire walking joke. It's a wire walking joke.
That's a great joke. But
there was
you got to be insane to do that.
There was a wonderful juggler who's dead now, named Francis Brun, who was a French juggler, which is, I mean, two words that nothing good could come of, right? Yeah. French juggler, you're over there going, oh boy, where can I see him? You mean a French guy and he juggles? Oh, damn, he's dead. Because that would be something I'd run out to see. It's like
it's on my bucket list.
There was a movie called Jesus of Montreal, out a long time ago, and I went to see it, and afterwards I went, what made me see that movie? Of? Is that the word of that movie? Of? I was just, I got to see a movie with of in the title. But Francis Brun, I was in New York City, and it was, I don't remember the exact year of the walk, but 73, 74, around there? Maybe 75?
I think it was 74, yeah.
And I was just moving to New York and just living here and juggling all the time. You know the juggling scene. And I was out with the greatest juggler of the time, who was Francis Brun, and he said, I want you to meet Philippe Petit. he's going to walk between the Twin Towers.
Oh, you knew ahead of time?
Yeah. And I went, what?
Yeah.
And they go, he's going to walk. But it was all, totally illegal and everything. And I kind of went, yeah, because I just got to New York and I thought that's the kind of thing that happens. People come to you and go, buddy, guy's going to walk across the
Come here.
That didn't happen in my hometown. It wasn't like it was one story, but, the highest building. But that kind of like excitement of we know someone who's going to do something illegal.
Crazy.
And so I didn't go down and see it because I suppose, I don't know. I probably didn't know how to get there. But I heard about it, and it was really fast. He was a wonderful, he still is, I suppose, a wonderful street performer.
He was just in the paper, doing some tightrope thing in a park. He was
Washington Square Park.
Yeah, 6 feet off the ground.
No.
What?
6 feet off the ground. What Philippe did was a lot of slackwire walking, and slackwire's fascinating because there's
not
tight
tight.
wire
Right,
and
sure.
slackwire is much, much more difficult. But the second thing that's more surprising is it's more dangerous. The 6-foot slack wire, you're more apt to flip and go around and break your neck. Of course, falling from the World Trade Center.
Yeah,
could be a problem.
The people that have survived that is a very small number.
what's hard-
I think actually a smaller number that have heard of Penn Jillette.
What's horrifying about what he did between the Twin Towers?
Wind, and the moving, the swing.
When he just decided in the middle of
You
it
know
to lay
something more
down,
terrifying?
to lay down
Oh.
on his back and look at.
I thought maybe there was a bear, too. They put a bear on the other side.
A wire walking bear after you.
It's obviously
Well, he did
it's
part
one
of his
thing
act.
to walk with, but you got the big pole and stuff, and he sort of knows what he's doing. But to actually decide, I need to lay down in the middle of this, that's what completely horrifies me just thinking about.
Just to make this clear to your listeners, he didn't just decide to lie down. It was part of his act. When he was going across.
How do you get down with your foot hanging and you're holding on your back and like you're looking up and like how do you boost yourself back up?
Well, I mean, how do you boost yourself back
My
up?
palms are sweating right now.
You have to you have to have good calf muscles.
Yeah. It's,
You got to work on the calves.
It was what killed me about that was that there was so much sway. There was so much sway, and
I wish there was video.
You're walking. Yeah, there's none. Is
There's
there?
just still pictures.
And and going into the building with crossbow equipment hidden on your body. I mean, that's like,
Yeah, right.
Well, it was
That's
before
like real-
9/11 there, you got away with murder before 9/11. You could just walk into any one of these buildings. We used to check.
we used that
If
crossbow.
if there was ever something you could prove was before 9/11, I think that's it.
Right. We used to, at our last gig at
Yeah,
NEW.
you said it like it was information.
But I know,
that was before 9/11.
But at our last gig at NEW, we would be bored waiting to start our afternoon drive show, and we would start exploring some of these buildings around here, and we would get on the roofs like it was nothing
Yeah.
and check out the view. Can't do that anymore.
No.
You barely
Taken out by a helicopter.
Well, you mean most anyone, not just you personally.
anyone could do it. Yes.
I thought maybe you thought they came down on you personally harder after 9/11. And I was going to say the complexion, the hair, probably not.
Well, we roll our eyes because you can't even get in a building without showing ID.
I know,
It's
well,
like,
that's
what's
just-
that about? What are you stopping?
No, that's if
Shut
you
up.
go to L.A. That's also just the buildings thinking they're so important,
Right.
Terrorist organizations all over the world are trying to get to the Food Network. We'll hit them where it hurts.
But terrorists will show their ID. They use their own names.
Of course they do.
Had his own passport.
Yes, nothing that TSA does would have stopped anything on 9/11. It's just this eroding of the rights because of fear. It's nothing to do with, Benjamin Franklin said that, to paraphrase, those that would sacrifice liberty for safety deserve neither. And the fact of the matter is that we are sacrificing liberty and not even getting one scintilla
of
more
safety.
It's insane.
People are so willing to give up their rights.
Well, it's important.
Under the guise of safety, and then it just keeps happening. Like you don't just give up one right and then go, okay, well, that's the only right we have to give up.
But
then
also,
another one goes away.
They kind of act like at the time of the founding of this country, things weren't dangerous. Those guys could be for freedom, but we've got to be more careful because now it's much more dangerous. Like all of us aren't covered with sores and dying in the mud and being shot at every second of our lives. We try to act like we aren't cowardly. We are absolutely cowardly. Brave men and women founded this country, and we are pissing it away. It's like they were willing to die for our freedom, and we're going, yeah, but we get scared sometimes.
Yeah, let's throw that right away. They thought it out. They really put something behind it, fought and died for it. Let's just toss that one out.
Well, now things are different.
Yeah, now things are different. You know, our founding fathers never expected this to happen this.
I got to say, as devil's advocate, though, back then, the threat of losing 3,000 in a clip wasn't a real threat. I mean, it's like you back then. It was like you had individuals, you had problems.
I'd have to see the numbers of the Revolutionary War.
Revolutionary War.
I'm going to find you wrong on that.
Oh no, that was a bad one. But I mean, just like in any one particular moment. You know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you do have even as late as the early 20th century, you have simply the flu that killed many more people than that. And we also do have we don't have ever a terrorist attack on American soil, but we do have. I mean, the Civil War, losing 3,000 at a clip was pretty easy.
Well, yeah, but that was really a rights violation. The North fighting the South was just the North fighting the South. I don't know. Have we lost any rights? Like, I get annoyed at TSA as well. I get very irritated. But have we lost any real basic rights?
that would be called the Fourth Amendment. That would be called search and seizure. Now, you're actually going onto an airplane. You don't have to be searched because you don't have to go onto an airplane. But that's for legal scholars to argue. We mostly settled down in Las Vegas and stopped touring. I was on the road for 30 years, and I loved it. I mean, Keith Richards, Billy Gibbons, Penn Jillette, the only three people who've ever enjoyed being on the road. And eventually that will be the band. We settled down in Vegas, not because I wanted to have a family and not because we were getting too old to be on the road, but just because I couldn't stand to see old ladies tossed because I was in China, and I was over there in China in 99, and I was smug that we were Americans because at the airports they had cats with Uzis and all, people being searched all over. And I would just kind of go, well, it's good that we live in a country. And I came back here in our crew, which, they listen to your show all the time, Nate and the boys. They're all freedom fighters. So every time we went through security, one of us was getting cuffed. You'd never know who it was going to be that was going to.
What makes it exciting, though?
Come on. It'd be like, I'd be really cool and really comfortable, tell them to be cool and comfortable. Then all of a sudden, the light guy's going, "Get your hands off!" And then you go another 2 weeks. We were flying like 5 times a week. Another 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, for some reason, it's my turn. And all of a sudden, the guy goes, "Show me under your belt." And okay, see everything. And I drop my pants. And all of a sudden, they're going, "You exposed yourself to TSA," and they're taking me to the back. And I'm going, "No, I had underwear on. If I expose myself, you'd know it." And then there's another thing they're yelling. And so
they don't have a sense of humor whatsoever.
Well, it's not. I don't even want them to have a sense of humor. I want them to go away. I think if you want to have freedom, you have to be willing to take some chances.
Not at 30,000 feet. I'll take them here, but 30,000 feet, I get very nervous.
But if the give me liberty or give me death, if you were to even say that now in an airport, you would be detained.
True.
And yet that is one of the important. I mean, can you imagine how heavy it is to say, give me liberty or give me death? I'm willing to die for freedom. I mean, that is like one of the heaviest things ever said in the world, and we are just pissing it away. I would love to hear people say, I'm willing to die if I can have more freedom, and I'm willing to die for others to have freedom. And I know that's a heavy thing to say, but man, wouldn't it be great to rise to that standard that was set by the founding fathers?
I just think protecting us on a plane isn't a removal of freedom.
But you're so much safer on a plane than you are at Starbucks. I mean, first to get that out of the way.
You are.
It's just your fear. You're safe on a plane, and it's fine. I mean, I've been in 2 crash landings, and they're just really cool and exciting. I've gone down the rubber raft that comes out. I've slid down the goddamn thing.
What was the reason?
Nothing. There was a complete mistake. Some of the things went out, and the stewardess came over. Flight attendant. Flight attendant. I'm so sorry I said stewardess. I wish I were dead. Flight attendant came over, and she woke me up, and she said, "We're going to do an emergency landing." And I said, "Cool." And she said, "You don't seem scared at all." I said, "I'm not scared. If we're gonna crash, it'll be hip." And she comes over to me and she's like trembling, holding the book. And I go, "Well, let me see that. I'll look at it, And I'm looking through and I'm going, "Well, I can certainly get the door open. I can certainly do this for you. That'll be really cool." And this flight attendant who was very overtly gay was in the cabin with me. I was in first class, of course, and he was there, and he said to the flight attendant, "I'm not working on this flight, but I am a flight attendant. I know this stuff." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll work together," because the flight attendant was kind of freaking. And it was like 10 minutes we knew beforehand. We were coming into this closed airport in Texas.
What was the problem with the plane? Did they tell you?
Nothing. As a matter of fact, I talked to the pilot.
Kind of a false alarm.
We were stranded, and he said, "If this instrument goes out, we have to do an emergency landing." And he said, "I knew that the instrument was out and nothing was wrong with the plane, but the rules say this." He was also a nom vet. I mean, he could have landed. He could have landed that plane. No wings. Wings are for pussies. He could have just landed. But I said to of course, and I did say this because I just thought it was really funny. I said to the flight attendant, the one that was off duty, the gay gentleman, I said, "If there's a good chance we're going to crash and die, I'm going to have sex with you." I said, "If we see any fire or any smoke," I said, "let's start." Because I've always thought that I wanted to have sex within 10 minutes of dying, and you're the one.
You're the only one.
And he said, "I'm fine with that." And I said, "Okay, well, that'll be the plan." And then we got carried away in all the emergency planning. But it's pretty cool to take that seatbelt and pull it as tight as you can. I mean, so it hurts and you can't breathe. Take off your glasses, your headphones, take off all your jewelry, and just roll up in a ball and then land normally. And you feel like a schmuck.
Feel like an idiot, right?
But, it is pretty cool to just say to yourself, well, this could be it. This could be could be the end. It's nothing. But I had no more fear of flying.
Why aren't you scared of flying?
Because as my mom said, know nothing, fear nothing. I think I've never been a particularly timid person.
It's, the big cliche, but it is safer.
Yeah.
Than driving. They had zero fatalities in the United States on commercial airlines. Last year.
For the first time in a while,
tell that
right?
to Buddy Holly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You should mention Penn Says, because otherwise you're going to yell at me.
Well, you've been,
I know, but yapping.
that took over the show. Maybe you should have promoted your own stuff.
Is this Crackle.com?
Because I certainly can't get a word in here. What is Penn Says is daily rants on Crackle.com, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just when I had a radio show.
I miss your radio show. I told you last time. I used to listen here in New York.
The best part of having a radio show is having something to say and being in front of a mic.
Right.
The worst part is having nothing to say and being in front of the mic, which you guys have never experienced, but I certainly did.
Ask our listeners.
And
hey, can we take a quick break?
Sure, do whatever you want.
How much more time you got?
I don't know. I got to go somewhere, but I like to talk to
Regis or something?
No, I'm not doing Regis. Doing something.
I know you're doing Letterman.
We're doing Letterman Friday, which was actually
Magician's
yesterday.
Week.
Yeah, we do.
Your appearance will be on Friday show. Cool.
We already
Is
recorded.
Penn, can he hang?
I'll try. I'll do some at least.
All right, a few more minutes with Penn Jillette after the break. Opie and Anthony. Hey, it's the Opie and Anthony Show. We're having a good time with Penn Jillette. Let's not forget, Penn Says. That's daily rants on Crackle.com. Also, the website, pennandteller.com. And also a brand new season of BS, Bull S, on Showtime. It's the sixth season, Penn?
Yes, it's the sixth season. We're now the longest running show in Showtime's history.
We're big fans, actually. What are you doing on this season?
We're doing world peace. We're doing dolphins. We're doing sensitivity training. We're doing the
sensitivity training. Oh, now you're taking our language.
No, we're all for it. Of course, we're for
Stupid sensitivity.
We got John Rocker on.
Oh, really?
To talk about that.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Hey, you want to talk to a cat who's bitter?
Yeah.
And you do. That's the guy.
Sensitivity training is the biggest joke.
Yeah.
Well, what are you really?
But I was really happy about doing dolphins, because dolphins, everybody. Everybody talking about, they're these mystical creatures who are
smarter than us. They just happen to live in the water.
And our point of view on this is technically mammals, morally fish. That's our point on, a little fur around the blowhole does not make you a mammal to me. You know what I mean? I need more than little fur around your blowhole to prove it to me.
Do they really have a little fur around their blowhole?
Sure.
Interesting.
I'm so surprised you don't know that.
What's that about?
Of all the people that would know that and have video.
We should know that one?
Yeah, you should know
I'd
that.
prefer they shave it.
Makes them look younger.
But you lisp a little. And the thing about the show I like so much, and I haven't seen the later ones, I was just telling Penn during the break, is I love the fact that it's not an angry destruction of these people, which makes it effective. It's just an accurate showing of what they're doing that's crap.
What I say very proudly is there's no ambushing. You know, what I like to say about our show is that we are fair and very biased, which is what I think people should be. I would love it if newscasters came out and said, I hate George Bush, and here's the news. Mm-hmm. Because that helps you get a point of reference. And if you're going to be on the show, we tell you the name of the show, we tell you that we disagree with you, and we give you a DVD of us being as mean as possible earlier, and then you decide to go on the show, and we don't ever pull people out of context. And so you get to say your point, and then afterwards, I'll swear at you, and I'll attack you and rip you to pieces. But, I went on a Nostradamus show as the skeptic, and I said to them, as long as you don't quote me out of context, as long as I get to say my piece, you can rip me apart afterward. Yeah. If you believe what you're saying, you're okay with that.
Nostradamus, that stuff, what do you think of that crap?
What do you think? What do you mean, what do I think? We just said the name of my show. What do you think I think? A guy says a river will overflow its banks, and that's predicting Hitler? You need the name Hitler in there somewhere.
Did he call him Hister, or was that a myth? They said he called him Hister. Was it a myth or a truth?
It's the translations get all confused. But once you know something, see, the trick of prediction is you have to know it in advance. What you can do with any sort of prediction is you can, once it happens, go back and say, here's what they meant with poetry. Yeah. And that's the definition of poetry. I mean, Bob Dylan doesn't know you and doesn't sing about your personal life, and yet you listen to his songs. He describes exactly what happened to you because they're emotional cornerstones. It's the same thing with Nostradamus. He's saying stuff that poetically is true about the human heart, and then after the stuff happens, you go back and look at it. But in order to be a good prediction, you have to tell me ahead of time. And the real question about anybody predicting is everybody who claims to be psychic, all of you. All I will say to you is, where were you September 10th, 2001? Yeah. Because if you are psychic and you shut up that day, then we need to put you in prison. And if you didn't know, then you aren't psychic. And those are your two choices, Jack. There's not another one. Because all I care about is September 10th, 2001.
You would have been the king of the psychics. That would have been a hell of a story for you. If you would have came out and said, hey,
just to pull you out
tomorrow's the day.
Just to pull you out of show business for a second. Yeah. Psychics doesn't matter. You would have saved American lives.
Good point. Yeah.
Sorry. He's going, can you imagine what a great soundbite that would have been?
You're thinking about your resume.
How famous would you get if you did that? I also love that in your fantasy, it's not stop. It's just like I told you so. Not because you've been talking on the radio with no one listening to a word you say for so many years. You just figure, well, you'd predict it, no one would do anything, then imagine the giant told you so you'd have. That's your whole fantasy. That's what you're thinking about, is it would just be a told you so. There's no sort of heroism in this room whatsoever. Like, I would know this and I would go and stop it and save these lives. No. I'd come back on the 12th and say, nah. See, this
is the tape I made on September 10th. I'm holding up the newspaper to prove I said this. All right, good point. As I turn red in front of everybody.
You're an awful human. That was just an absolute... That was your character.
Yeah.
That proved what type of person you are right there.
I want to say for the record, I had nothing to do with that. You did it all on your own. That's what I mean by not out of
context. Thanks for pointing it out and really rubbing it in.
I just want to tell you what every single person listening to you is thinking.
What is wrong with that guy?
Soundbite.
I didn't even catch that, but in your fantasy, it's not stop.
Yeah. And then you were talking about global warming with Anthony. Anthony doesn't believe in the global warming.
It's a tough one.
I just don't know. That's what it is too.
Every single part of it seems jive to me. I don't believe Al Gore. I don't believe any of this. I don't believe the way this stuff comes. But I can't say no. I can't say absolutely.
Like, who the hell am I to say yes or no at this point in history? I don't think.
Don't really know.
If we're sitting here underwater someday, I'll go, wow, maybe they were right about those ice caps.
There's many different points that are all mushed together. First of all, is the world getting hotter? Is that a bad thing?
Right.
Did humans cause it? And if humans caused it, can humans reverse it? Which is a big, big thing. And can they do it by conservation? You and I can take an 18-wheeler on top of a hill. We can put it in neutral, and we can push and start that down the hill. That doesn't mean you and I can stop it.
Right.
So, once you've said we caused this, even if you get that far, you're not necessarily saying we can stop it.
And do we have to?
Do we want to? Do we have to?
Yeah.
And also, if we can stop it, is it by conservation, which has never worked on anything ever in the world? Wouldn't it be it's going to be by some smart guy who goes, why don't we blow this thing up? Because the solution to everything is always, why don't we blow this thing up? Yeah. Maybe we'll do some sort of. So there's a lot of questions.
As far as global warming goes, our favorite visual is where they show Manhattan underwater. Like it's going to get to that point. Like we're going to start seeing puddles.
No, the best part of that, though, is they show it with cars underwater and things. Like it would happen so fast, you'd be stuck in it. Like it doesn't happen over the course of many years.
Like when the puddles start forming, we're not going to try to figure out what to do.
I think we got to leave.
There are puddles.
Yeah. It's like puddles on 57th.
There's too many
We should
puddles.
probably leave Manhattan.
Or build
a wall
one guy
or something.
would think of getting a boat. At least one guy is going to go.
But they show Manhattan with 20-foot, lakes now in the middle of Manhattan with cars floating.
And the thing that really disturbs me is that Al Gore said in an interview that he did exaggerate. He says, I exaggerated to make my point stronger. And once you say that, and you're not a comic, if you're a comic, fine. As Otto and George always say, I exaggerate in order to clarify. That's fine. But once someone that's supposed to be giving me the truth says that, once they say, well, of course I exaggerated a little, and they knew it in advance, not saying I was wrong, I made a mistake, but saying I kind of knew I was pushing it a little bit. Like when we were involved in Broadway Cares, we do a lot of stuff with AIDS, not helping AIDS, but helping people with AIDS. Because helping AIDS would be
that's terrible.
Penn and Teller handing out dirty needles. But when that first hit, and I was one of the people who was speaking out and saying we should do something about this. Although I wasn't one of the first, but saying that, a lot of people involved in that thing would say, well, we have to make it very clear it's going to spread to the heterosexual community, to scare people and get their help. And I said, no, we have to have compassion. And if it's only killing one segment of the population, you don't lie about it. You say, these are people that need help, let's help them. There's this sense of people trying to elicit help from people that says that lying's okay because other people aren't as compassionate as me. And the truth of the matter is, everybody's as compassionate as you. Just tell them the truth. And that's what bothers people like us are getting off the global warming thing just because of the style that's used by the people who believe it. And if they're right, we're wrong to not believe them, but they're also wrong for exaggerating and pushing and showing video of, Manhattan underwater with cars still going.
With cars there. Like they wouldn't pull them out. And
Ted Kennedy's still driving.
We were told we got to get you out by 8:50 because you got somewhere else to go there. Okay. Well, actually, we're ending the show, too, so it works out.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be silly for either one of us to stay here.
Yeah, that's a good
Show's
point.
done. You're leaving.
Penn, it's always a pleasure. Penn says, daily rants on crackle.com. I did not know about this. I'm going to go there later on this afternoon and check it out. What are some of your rants that we can look forward to on that website?
Well, the one that got me the most interest, I suppose, was one I did about Hillary Clinton that Maureen Dodd in the New York Times ended up doing a column about. Because I went out and did a joke, like an anti-Hillary joke, that was a sucky joke.
What was the joke?
It was a joke that said, this was a while ago, Obama did really well in February, and Hillary said that's not fair because February's Black History Month. And she's right. She's doing a lot better now that it's White Bitch Month, right? which is not, that's just by the numbers. There's nothing there. But what shocked me about it was I went out the first night to do it, and I figure I don't really do this kind of political stuff on our show, and it's during a newspaper tear, during a magic trick, just a throwaway. Few people are going to go like, few people will laugh, and then we'll just move on. It stopped the show with people cheering, like, he's a hero!
God.
Build a statue! And the crew was backstage going, what's going on? And I went backstage and went, even the people that support her hate her. It's astonishing. And I did this whole rant going, listen, I'm not proud of this joke. I'm not going to do it that much anymore. I don't care about the joke. It's not interesting. My input doesn't matter. It's the fact that people were going, yeah, white bitch. Yeah, right. Like you know what I mean? I could all of a sudden hit this like nerve. And Dave Barry, who's a funny guy, he wrote me an email after it was in the column going, I had the same experience. I have this Hillary joke that's not great. It's just fine. Yeah. And I do it at like even for Democratic crowds, and they go crazy.
That's
so you've got someone.
Wait, was she attacking you in the Times or no?
Maureen Dodd was just saying her point was Penn is shocked at doing a stupid joke like this and having get a reaction. Why is that? I mean, how bad can you be doing? She was essentially my exact point of view. She certainly wasn't supporting the joke, which neither was I. It was just like, I need a joke to put in here. Oh, one of our crew guys says that. I go, that's funny. I'll throw it in. And I expected nothing. It really was. It was applause. The woman running for president is a bitch. Oh, yeah! Whoa! About time that got said. Yeah! We never noticed that before. I mean, it was amazing.
Who do you like for the presidency? Do you care?
Do I get choices other than the
yeah, good point.
Yeah, I think what I like about Obama,
I'm amazed that these are the choices.
What I like about Obama is he doesn't seem cynical. And that's the only thing I liked about George W. Bush. Cynicism, really breaks my heart. And the Clintons have always seemed incredibly cynical to me. And Obama seems like, if not him, then many of his supporters actually believe what he's saying. When
you're pissing off Ant.
Why?
Just a little controversy.
I liked Obama a little more watching the CNN interview with him last night. But I don't know how sincere he is because he's a politician.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When with the last election, you couldn't find anybody that liked Kerry. They just hated Bush. Mm-hmm. You couldn't find anybody that liked Bush. They just hated Kerry. There are some people I've met that like Obama, and that's a beautiful thing. I disagree with him on everything.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
Looking someone in the eye and saying they like a presidential candidate fills me with joy.
If he's actually sincere about really wanting change
then
in
I'm
the
a
country,
blue-nosed gopher.
It's just I can't buy that.
Yeah.
I really can't.
But,
the guy's a politician is a politician. I'm sorry.
You talk to people who were for Kerry.
Yeah.
And they were always for Kerry with all these caveats and all this cynicism. You've met somebody, I'm sure, in your life that says they like Obama.
Oh, hell yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, you don't meet anyone that likes Hillary.
No.
Even people voting for her.
Everyone hates Hillary.
I like Obama, and I typically would never go Democrat. I like Obama.
And you know something?
About him I like.
That's going to put him over the top.
Yeah.
That's what they've been waiting for.
Yep, I agree, because McCain is just, people look at him and go, he seems like he's probably a hero, whatever, but he's too old. I don't want to see another old white guy. I'm just kind of tired of it. I want to see something different.
There you go. We got to get Penn out.
Yeah.
And we got to go over to XM Satellite Radio. So we got Penn and Teller on Letterman this Friday. Let's make sure we check that out. We also have Penn Says. I think we promoted that.
It's on Crackle.com. And also the 6th season of Penn and Teller's Showtime show.
I can't wait for that.
Bull S. It's premiering in June. It's a great show. They really eviscerate a lot.
And we got a lot of XMers that listen in Vegas. So what's the show again? You're there what?
Yeah, we're at the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, all the time. If you think
pretty
about
much every night of the week when you're not traveling?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, we're out of here. We're off to XM. Penn, thank you. Always a pleasure.